everybody, and welcome to this brand new live episode of Game Time here on the Game Time channel, the Game Time Sports channel. That's right. If you're watching us right now, you're on the Game Time Sports channel. Very happy to have you along. Winston will be on shortly. He's just finishing up shooting something or doing a recording real quick for an audition. He'll be on in just a few minutes. But I just want to thank you all so much for joining me here live for this fun conversation today about everything that's going on in the week of the NFL Week 13. So much happening now. We're rounding into form, ladies and gentlemen. Can you feel it? Playoff fever is right around the corner. At least for those of us who might have teams who are still in contention, playoff fever is right around the corner. We had a marquee set of games over the weekend for sure. A lot of stuff to talk about, from the Chiefs taking on the Bengals, there to see about AFC supremacy. Dolphins slamming right into the 49ers, and then what happening with the 49ers, of course, with that injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to get into that, of course. The Jets taking on the Vikings. This was a fantastic game. I remember I was watching this one this weekend, certainly on the red zone, going back and forth, but just enjoying the highlights later of what happened between the Jets and the Vikings. That was a joy to watch that game as well. The Eagles showing their force here as arguably the top team in the NFL right now, 11-1, taking on and crushing Aaron Turner's Titans, rather. Sad to see that happening. The Titans there just going down meekly to the Eagles 35-10, and so much more, including my Commanders getting into a fight with the Giants in New York and coming out with a tie. And that tie is going to be settled, at least I hope, in a couple of weeks, because we're about to go on our bye for next week, and then we'll be back in Washington to take on these same New York Football Giants for possibly a shot at one of the wild cards there in the NFC. It is crazy right now for sure. And listen, as we go along in the show, to remind you all, although we don't have super chats yet because we're not at 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours yet, the Streamlabs are absolutely open. So if you want to send in some support, send in some love, if you have some questions, comments, thoughts you want to get on the air for us to talk about or for me to talk about, then feel free to send it in to the address here. I'm going to pin it in the chat in just a second, but just wanted to let you all know that it is out there for you all to use and send in your support as we go along here on Game Time. How are you all doing? How are you all feeling? How is life treating you as we jump into Week 13 in the NFL? Are you all, just jump out of rather, Week 13 in the NFL? Are you all feeling it? Are you all sensing that there's a lot more going on to this season than we anticipated? A lot of surprises here. I mean, tonight we've got the Saints taking on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are at 5-6 or something like that, something shameful like that. So they're there to see. We're going to see what happens with Tom Brady and the Bucs against these Saints. Kyle Orton possibly leading them to a victory. Who knows what we have? Because certainly we saw Aaron Rodgers have some life against the Chicago Bears. He owned them yet again, which we'll get into a little bit later. All right, I see Winston A. Marshall. He has shown up. Is he ready? Does he have his CeeDee Lamb jersey on? Does he have his 54-10 jersey on? I don't know, but let's get him in here right now. Winston A. Marshall, what's going on, brother, man? How you feeling?
LA motherfucking traffic. I know I shouldn't just come out the gates swearing and shit, but like,
all right.
Damn, I left set at 3.
Yeah.
I just sat in nonstop traffic because they got premieres happening in Hollywood, man. And just, I'm so sorry, everybody. This is a later show just because I asked John since I booked something today. But I'm here. This is just, I just took my suit off. I just threw everything. I was like, I got an undershirt. That'll work. I guess I could have gone full Stephen A with it, but I just wasn't in the mood, man. Like, if we gonna talk about them Cowboys, you know, I gotta dress down a little bit.
I know, no doubt. Jeremy's saying literally drip, drip. That's right. We're taking off that suit, taking us in traffic for sure. Yeah, your Cowboys were cow men over the weekend. That's for sure. With the demolishment of those Colts, man, it's gonna be a
damn right,
dude. We've turned that corner, Winston. We are like 4 or 5 weeks away from the playoffs. It's gonna be crazy in these playoffs for sure. And we had a lot of stuff going on. So let's jump into it, man. Without further ado, you good to go?
I am good to go. Again, very sorry, but I'm here. Let's do it.
All right, let's start with Joe Burrow, man. I mean, we were talking for a number of weeks on the show here, Winston, about Joe Burrow and whether he's going to show up again, whether these Bengals can figure out their issues from the opening part of the season. Well, they just won their 4th in a row, topping the Kansas City Chiefs for the third time in a calendar year. They beat them on January 2nd, beat them in the playoffs, and then beat them here yet again. So the third time in a calendar year, that is tough to do against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They've won their fourth straight game. As I said, they beat the Titans last week. So this team is really coming into its form here, and this must scare the shit out of everybody in the AFC. What do you think about the results here? Joe Burrow and the Bengals beating the Chiefs 27-24 yesterday.
It's wild because if you go and look, I'm not saying that Burrow's going to turn into Brady. Let's not do that.
I mean, people start talking about MVP conversation with this guy all of a sudden.
I think he deserves to be in the conversation. That's okay. For sure. But I'm not just going to crown him. But I will say this is one of those situations where, like, Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback. He's probably, if he continues on the trajectory, he'll eventually get to the Hall of Fame and whatnot. But I'm not going to call him Brady or nothing.
Okay.
But you know how it's really interesting how every time that Brady and Peyton played each other, Peyton was whooping the dog shit out of everybody, but Brady kept having his number.
Yep.
With a few exceptions in the playoffs that led to Peyton actually getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He went 3 times.
Yeah.
And he was 1-2.
Peyton went as the Colts.
3.
Peyton as the Colts, he only went twice. He was 1-1 in the Super Bowl.
He went twice.
Yeah, twice. He lost to the Saints and he beat the Bears. That's it. When he went as the Denver Broncos,
4 times. He's gone 4 times. So he's 2-2. Okay.
Yeah, 2-2.
But either way, my point is Brady always had Peyton's number with a few exceptions in the playoffs, and that was part of the playoff was they talk about Peyton. There's something about Burrow. Burrow has, Mahomes' number. Now, mind you, I always thought this conversation was weird when you're like, it's the dueling of the quarterbacks. It is kind of like a break dance where it's like, I'm going to do this move. Now, what about you? I'm going to do this move. Now, what about you? But you're playing against their defense. It's really Mahomes versus that Bengals defense. And while he still got 24 points on them, they had a bunch of really strong stops.
Yep.
And on that flip side, the Chiefs defense is a defense built off of no like major names anymore.
Right.
Like you've got once with the Honey Badger gone, this is just a squad of like, we move as a unit.
Yeah.
And the only thing about that is if you don't have someone that you can guarantee a Micah Parsons and Aaron Donald, what's the name of the ball hawk with the Eagles, Black something, he's a rookie, Blackwell or something like that.
Yeah.
If you don't have a superstar that can guarantee you 1 to 5 major plays on defense, you run into trouble. There's a reason why the defenses that are even on shitty teams are scary is because there's a dude that is a problem. Mm-hmm. And that's not what the Chiefs have. So you really depend on Patrick Mahomes being able to blow people out of the water. And between Burrow and this Bengals defense, they just understand how to hold the Chiefs down and to stop them. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed watching this. I mean, look, there's a real possibility Patrick Mahomes never wins another Super Bowl. And we have to ask ourselves, how do we assess him by the end of his career? I don't know. It's very possible. Joe Burrow feels like he's coming into the ascendancy. I don't know what the end result's going to be with Joe Burrow, but if he takes his team to the Super Bowl again, 2 years in a row, sky's the limit for this guy for sure. They might even win looking at some of the crap fest you have over there in the majority of the NFC. Other than the Eagles and the Cowboys, I don't really see anybody that can go toe-to-toe with this Bengals team if it's coming into its form. I mean, Samaje Perine had over 100 yards in replacement for Joe Mixon on a concussion. Jamar Chase almost 100 yards again. On the other side, the Chiefs, again, their running game biting them in the ass. Only 66 yards for Isaiah Pacheco. Scantling only had 71 yards to lead the receivers, and most of that was on one 42-yard play. So like you're talking about, the defense of the Bengals here is a smash mouth, old school NFC East style defense combined with a cocky, assured quarterback. Jamar Chase, an incredible receiver, and you've got Tyler Boyd in there as well, T. Higgins, and then you've got yourself Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. That's a hell of a combo if all cylinders are hitting, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to limit how mobile Mahomes is, but then your coverage of the receivers has to be wild. You either need to be stopping them from catching at all, which looking at this, Scantling, 6 targets, only 2 receptions. Kelsey is Kelsey, so 6 targets, 4 receptions.
And Kelsey fumbled that ball too, so
that was
that rearing its ugly head yet again. Yeah,
that was a huge fumble. But then the rest of the, you see what I'm saying? Like you with Mahomes throwing 27 times, you kept him at 16.
Yeah,
that's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's pretty big. That's a barely over 50% if I'm doing my maths correct.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because what 30 would be 15. So you're like maybe 60ish, 55, 60ish% something in there. If you can hold Mahomes to that, then you have a very strong chance of winning, and the Bengals continue to do it, and Burrow steps up. I think what we're looking at with the Bengals and the earlier part of the year, realistically, I think both them and the Rams had playoff Super Bowl specific hangover. The deeper you go in the playoffs, the more of that hangover comes.
Yeah.
The only difference is, one, Burrow was getting lit up. That O-line was not protecting him. So now that he can do a little bit more. And because Burrow was young, because Chase is young, this is a very young-led team.
Yeah.
There is experience not only about how to go deep in the playoffs, there is experience about how to march it into the next year. And I think they just needed time to adjust. So it's going to be a knockout dragout between the Bengals, Chiefs, like probably Dolphins and Bills. At this particular stage in those playoffs.
Yeah. I loved Burrow's quote here. It said, "We left some points on the field, but we still find a way to win. We've still got 5 weeks left. Let's keep this train rolling." This team knows what it takes to win these games. We've been there. It's December. It's time to separate ourselves. This is a third-year quarterback talking this mess, Winston. This is incredible to hear the kind of swagger from this kid and the expectations he has of himself, which that confidence bleeds into the team. And certainly they're coming through in these tight games now. And I agree with you at the beginning, maybe because it was a new O-line, they brought all these guys in to protect Burrow. Maybe they weren't in sync. They've gotten in sync over these last 4 games. They're winning against some good competition here.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Can we pour one out for the 2 teams officially mathematically eliminated from the playoffs?
Sure. The Texans.
Yo, shout out to Houston, to the Texans, who pour one out for you. And shout out to Chicago. You done, baby.
Chicago.
You done.
Aaron Rodgers still owns you. God damn it. I thought Chicago was they were romping on the Packers, and out of nowhere, let them get back in the game for sure. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Patrick and Mahomes and the Chiefs bounce back. Certainly, they came real close. That fumble, there's a lot of questionable stuff, whether he was yanked as his forward progress had stopped or whatever. But that defense shut down Kansas City, and then Kansas City couldn't get it going. Kansas City defense couldn't stop the Bengals at the end there to get the ball back for Mahomes to maybe pull off a miracle. It didn't happen. So you give credit to the Bengals for sure. Let's move on to our next game here, Winston. We've got the Eagles. Jalen Hurts throwing 3 touchdown passes and running for a touchdown as well to lead these Eagles over the Titans 35-10. You know, all this conversation about the Titans and Vrabel as a coach and how incredible he is. Here's another big game this season where once again they look meek. Derrick Henry has like 35 yards or something. Tannehill looks like the mobile, scared quarterback that he is when he plays tough defenses. And the Eagles, step by step, or week by week, are winning me over for sure. As the competition gets higher, they're stepping up to the plate in really strong ways. So what do you think about Jalen Hurts leading these Eagles to 11-1 here on the season so far?
I mean, I gotta give Jalen credit. I think
you gotta give him his flowers. Come on.
This now I do, because I think that there was one major criticism that people had. He obviously was able to throw the ball.
Yeah.
He's a starting quarterback. So, but there was this talk that he's all legs, that he can't win the game with his arm. Dude, he threw for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns over no interceptions.
Yeah.
Throwing 29 over 39. That's, dude, you threw for essentially 2/3 of your passes were on point.
Yeah.
And your run game really wasn't anything. Spread across 4 players, you had 67 yards. You did that all through the air. Yeah. That's phenomenal. And I think if there was any doubt, and what scared me, or what I had hope for, is that push comes to shove, boy can't he's not a bad thrower, but he's not going to win the game in the air for you as a quarterback should be looking to do, not just reading the defenses, but be able to give you those precision passes. Right. Now I'm truly terrified of the Eagles. I still think we're one of the few. I still think we're one of the few teams that can beat them. I would have said the Niners until the Garoppolo injury, honestly, because I don't care that Brock Petty played well. We'll talk about it. I don't have faith in the kid quite yet. Yeah, because like White looked decent, but damn, did he come back down from the cloud that everybody was riding on? Right, like he looks like an average quarterback now. He's not. He's not blowing anybody away. Right. But I'll tell you what really came out of this game, and part of it was AJ wanting to flex on him.
Oh my God!
The Titans look like morons for letting him go. Oh yeah, because your only weapon at that point, your only true dangerous weapon was Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry ain't Derrick Henry no more.
Nope. You can see he can be bottled up. We've seen it happen twice now in the last 3 weeks. He can be bottled up when a defense really keys on him, and then they've got a mishmash of receivers. And Tannehill, which is a mobile old quarterback, ain't gonna get it done against a fast and hungry defense that knows his tendencies and knows these receivers aren't separation receivers like AJ Brown is. And certainly AJ Brown, he wanted $57 million guaranteed. He got it right away from Philadelphia, and look how it's paying dividends. And right now, I agree with you. They look like morons. This is like Oklahoma City breaking up Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden just to save a little bit of money. It makes no sense. And in the end, you're just going to be, yes, you're going to have a great record. Yes, you're going to win your division. Yes, you're going to get in the playoffs. And yes, you're going to get knocked out immediately. So it's irrelevant that you're getting there if you're not actually aspiring to win the Super Bowl and doing what needs to be done to get there.
Hey, man, take it from a Cowboys fan. You know how often we were like, look at us. We won our division by a lot and then got our ass whooped. It's just not worth it. Like, get some picks and then actually do something. But I think the other thing that's really interesting, man, you don't watch anime really, do you?
A little bit, not much though. Please go ahead. This is all your field more. Yeah.
Do you watch any of My Hero Academia, or have you heard of it? Okay.
I've heard of it, never watched it.
Yeah. Okay. So Derrick Henry at this point is like one of the main characters, All Might. And when you meet All Might, he is the strongest dude in the world. He is whooping everybody's ass. But you learn in that first episode that he got injured in a fight like years ago. And now he's pretty hit or miss on whether or not he can go all out on folks because of that. And that's kind of what Derrick Henry looks like. He looks like All Might. He is the strongest, I'm a grown-ass man playing with little boys running back in the league. But the boy is hurt now. He has that like old man tinge. And so sometimes he can't get it done. And that's the thing with the Titans. You put all of your laurels on Derrick Henry. Yeah. But you got to remember, running backs do not last that long.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think right now there's no way Tannehill is still doing this thing in a year or two for the Titans. I just don't see it happening. They've got a great backup quarterback. I like Malik Willis. I want to get him more game time. If I'm the Titans, if I'm seeing how Pickett is doing for the Steelers, I absolutely am looking at Miles being like, I got to get him in the game and see what we got with him. So hopefully that may be the option down the road here if they get eliminated in the play, which I imagine they will pretty early, even though they're going to win their division. They've got to do some work here. They got to get them some receivers, because in the end, this is what good teams are going to do to you every single time, because they know your weaknesses and they know how to game plan for you. And look, Vrabel's a great coach, but in the end, you can only do so much if the ingredients are Kirkland. There's only so much you can do in a nice kitchen. If
don't you come for Kirkland?
No. It's solid. It's good stuff.
You're not going to do that.
High end. That's what I'm getting at.
You can come for any other store's white label brand. You ain't coming for Kirkland. That shit is straight from the factories. They just go take their name off and put on name. You're not doing this. You want to come for Pink Bismuth instead of Pepto-Bismol? Okay. Fine. Okay. That's fine. Drink. You ain't coming for my goddamn Kirkland vodka that tastes exactly the same as Grey Goose, you stupid son of a bitch. I thought we were friends.
Fair enough. I don't drink vodka, so respect. I'll respect you. But you know what I'm saying. You can't be making a high-end meal with Kirkland ingredients. So they're solid. They'll be there every time, but you need something more. You need something flashy. That's what I'm getting at. All right, let's see where we're going on to next year, our next game. And this is a reminder here. Please hit a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers mark and the 4,000 watch hours. So if you have not watched the other content that's on the channel right now that you're watching, we'd appreciate if you just did that. Hell, you can turn it on, turn the sound off, and just have it on. It still counts as watch hours. Put it on one of your phones or one of your computers while you're playing a video game or whatever, or watching TV, turn the sound down. We get the hours. So just a suggestion there of how we can get there, and you can help us get there for sure. And send in your Streamlabs. Yeah, right now the address is pinned in the chat. Show some love. Give us some support. Let's move on to our next game here, Winston, and that is the 49ers here absolutely kicking the shit out of these Dolphins. What had been this vaunted Dolphins team coming into this game here against these 49ers, and they got absolutely beat. And not only beat, they were beat by the backup quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy, coming in here, replacing Garoppolo after, sadly, he broke his foot. He is out for the season. That was in the first quarter. This wasn't a mop-up duty at the end. First quarter, and the 49ers took care of business here. They only gave up one touchdown in that second half after having blanked out so many teams over the last few weeks in the second half. This was an absolute, a clinic that they performed on Mike Daniel and his offense and Tua as well here. So what do you take away from this game here? What do you leave with this feeling? Are the 49ers an NFC team that people need to fear again because they're doing this even with a backup quarterback? What do you think?
Not really. If you had Jimmy G,
yeah,
I genuinely, after this game, if they had played like this and Jimmy was in, I would start making predictions that they would represent the NFC because this defense is getting terrifying.
Okay.
I even think that they would manhandle the Eagles, if I'm being honest, and you still had Jimmy. Scary. I think they would do it. I think this was a similar situation. You had game plan for Trey Lance. That's what everything was in. And so they started off rocky as hell.
Yeah.
But this defense is terrifying. Tua has been unstoppable.
Yeah.
And they stopped the hell out of him. Mm-hmm. Like it was embarrassing watching that happen because of how insanely good he's been. And even at that point, you still had Tyreek Hill go for almost 150 fucking yards.
Yeah, I know.
And a touchdown, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't feel that way, though. It doesn't feel that way. That's the thing.
Right. So to that point, I'm not throwing I'm not throwing Miami out. Like that's not what I'm saying. Like I know IMAX is like, it's one bad game, we'll be fine. Yeah, you will be fine. I think the Dolphins not only will make the playoffs, I think you'll go pretty deep. I'm not. Mm-hmm. That's not what we're worried about. There's spam going on, by the way.
Again,
but the only reason I don't believe in the Niners, if Purdy shows me something magical over the remainder of the season, we can have a different conversation. You're genuinely going to take the last pick in the draft rookie and be like, they're going to win the Super Bowl. No. Yeah. No. You got to, this is a show me. This is a show me game. It always has been.
Yeah.
I need to see it. And one game ain't going to cut the mustard, man, because again, two things can really happen. You either the adrenaline kicks in and you're just like, all right, I've been practicing, like whatever, and they don't have tape on you, so they don't know your tendencies and you can get away with some stuff.
Right.
Or the pressure's too much and you collapse. Mm-hmm. Clearly the pressure wasn't too much to collapse, but nobody knows about this guy yet. Give him a second to figure him out and let's see what happens. But that defense by itself will win them at least one, if not two playoff games.
Yeah. Well, another part of this too, and I see IMAX mentioning the offensive line. They had two backup offensive line. Look, backup offensive linemen are part of the game in the NFL every fucking week. That's the game. People get hurt. You got to have the right people in place. That's the game. The Miami Dolphins today signed veteran offensive tackle Eric Fisher because they placed starting right tackle Austin Jackson on injured reserve. He had been out until recently to the game against the Cleveland Browns, then came back, hurt himself again, and now he's done for the season, and they brought it. So yet another offensive lineman they're bringing in to try to patch things up, and we'll see in the end what it's going to do. But, I mean, Tua here, the 49ers have had a habit over the last few years with this defense, Winston, of figuring out quarterbacks. You know this from them beating your Dak Prescott last year. They find a way with that defense to figure out a quarterback's tendencies. They may go down a little bit, but then they'll come right back up. I mean, they almost beat those Rams, for the love of God, with Jared Goff last year. It was close. So these 49ers, as you said, the defense is absolutely scary. Tua should learn something from this game. Don't blow it off. learn something from this game and figure it out. Because even the coach Mike McDaniel was like, it ain't for lack of preparation. We were ready. We just had a bad game. That's what happened. So it could be very interesting to see what you take from this and what lessons you learn from this. Because remember, Tua's still young in his process in being this team's quarterback. So we'll see what he learns from this. But I agree with you. Brock Purdy, good for one game. Let's see now as defenses figure out what your tendencies are, how they adapt.
No, absolutely, man. And that's that again. That does not mean the 49ers are now irrelevant, ironically, with Mr. Irrelevant leading them, but it just means that my faith in them went from like oh shit, they're sitting at like a solid 75-80%.
Yeah.
They're just going to start running the table on games to, for me, drops down to like a solid 33%, like a third of their stuff remaining. And that's, the defense will protect him.
Yeah.
But like we're about to talk about with this Jets Vikings game.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna be enough.
Yeah.
You have to be competent enough to like get you over the hump, man. So we'll see.
And let's be real, Brock Purdy, 25 of 37. So for 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Certainly a respectable line, but it isn't like he came in and lit up the Dolphins. He did enough to win this game, certainly, and the defense shut down Tua and those Dolphins. That's really who you want to give credit to. But Purdy threw 2 with touchdowns. You got to give him props for that. Did throw an interception, but in the end took care of business. And so we'll see going forward how this affects the 49ers and the Dolphins as well. As IMAX keeps pointing out, the O-line was an issue. The O-line was an issue. Let's hope they can figure it out because, there's a future there possibly, and there's a matchup that's in play. Tua versus Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, the 2 former Bama quarterbacks that replaced each other in a title game that backed each other up. Could be something crazy in that Super Bowl if it works out. Could be very interesting to see them going at it.
No.
But let's hit 2 other stories connected to this game. What's your thoughts on Garoppolo going out yet again? The 4th year that this has happened, that he's gone out with a season-ending injury. Not in a row, but it is the 4th time in his career that he's gone out with a season-ending injury. And this one, a broken foot, man. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say I feel bad for him. And as a human, when with somebody breaking a bone and your career aspirations getting put on a standstill, but it's hard to feel bad for Jimmy Garoppolo when he is universally said by women, straight women and gay men, that is the finest man to play football and maybe ever, but at least in the last few decades. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the number of women and gay men that are genuinely obsessed with this motherfucker, and he could be on The Bachelor right now, you know what I'm saying, and be more attractive than a vast majority of the people in there. And he's a multimillionaire, and he's a consecutive starting quarterback, and he used to date porn stars. I don't really feel bad for Jimmy.
Dog, they ignored Travis Kelce. They ignored George Kittle, rather, to slap hands with Jimmy G. Like, even the referees all kind of in love with Jimmy G, for God's sake. Ridiculous, man.
It's hard for me to feel bad for super successful, super attractive straight white men. That's just really hard for me, just because you already have everything. So if something bad happens to you, you know how many of us have to be like, well, I'm not ugly, but damn, I ain't out here like going to Grace Vogue, motherfucker. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I make decent money, but I can't just buy a boat if I wanted to, you son of a bitch. Like, I don't.
This is really hardcore. This is really hardcore what you're going with right now. Someone said, hey, Winston, it's not game. It's game time, not grudge time. J&B coming at you a little bit.
It was why for the longest time I didn't feel bad for Brady. This man, won a million Super Bowls. Yeah. He's broken like damn near every single record. He's arguably the GOAT. He was married to a supermodel. Like, I didn't feel bad for him. And I sort of wasn't even now, where I was just kind of like, oh shit, bro, you made decisions. But like, I am a little bit now that we're getting to a point where it's been like consecutive, but it's not, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's always tough to watch the Proud Warriors start to lose their sting, man. It's always tough, right? It's always tough. Damn, the hater voice in Winston is hilarious. And then second story attached to this real quick before we go to break, man. Baker Mayfield The Panthers let him go today. They released him today. A lot of people speculated he go to 49ers. Do you take this chance if you're the 49ers on Baker Mayfield coming in to be your quarterback?
No, you don't, for a couple of reasons. I mean, the first is Baker doesn't know your system. So unless
Great point,
there is some sort of Shanahan connection we don't know about.
Yeah.
Did Baker ever play with Shanahan?
I don't think so. No.
Then no, you don't do that at all, because Baker hasn't proven that he's that asset. Now, supposedly, this wasn't just Carolina. He made a request to be released.
Oh,
apparently,
really?
and they agreed.
Do you think he's got something? Do you think he's maybe had a conversation with the 49ers or no?
He might have,
okay.
But I don't necessarily know. I just think that he wants to take a bet on himself, and it's a dumpster fire over there in Carolina, and that relationship's kind of over. So, and people are saying, because I see Haskell saying the Niners are 25th in the waiver line.
Yeah,
but you also have to remember, anybody that picks him up is picking up the 1.8 million or 1.38 million he's owed. Like, so all of a sudden on top of that, and that's just, to my knowledge, for this year. That's not like for the remainder of the that's like this year you would have to drop that. So I don't think you take that risk. I think you have a better shot. I know I was sort of shitting on Purdy a little bit, but at least Purdy was sitting there learning all of this for the last since June.
Well, McCaffrey said that after the game. He said the reason Purdy came in and did so well is because Jimmy G has been just in my short time being here, I've seen how Jimmy G works with him and talks to him and helps him with the playbook and gets him prepared to play. So he says a piece of Purdy's performance is owed to Jimmy G because of how Jimmy G gives to this kid and trains this kid and gets him ready to play. So you got to give him props in that way. I mean, I would kind of run with this guy. I would see what you got, see what happens the next 2 or 3 weeks. If the kid feels himself and is really comfortable playing in the system Shannon has established, why would you go to anybody else? That being said, you got to get some backups, man. You know?
Yeah, I mean, but that was the thing. Who expects both of your quarterbacks to just get season-ending injuries, and let alone that the first one, the one you wanted to be your guy, did it in what, week 1 or 2?
Trey Lance, first quarter, first half of week 1,
dude. Like who like foresees that? So I don't blame the Niners for keeping this rookie back here and be like, Jimmy will hold it down, but maybe they should have, because the truth is Jimmy is out here in these streets getting injured, like you said, a lot in the last 4 years. So you probably should have had somebody ready. And maybe Purdy is. Maybe they have that kind of faith in him.
I don't know. We'll see.
AJ
McCarron is still out there. Cam Newton, God forbid, is still out there.
The same problem, man. It
Rosen.
Is so late in the season.
Blake Bortles, he's been a backup in San Francisco.
Then that might not be a bad move. It genuinely is a situation where you got to go with somebody that can pick up your system quickly, because you were primed to make a playoff run. You cannot do this with somebody that's just like, well, they've had talent at one point. If they have not shown a propensity for picking up books quickly, like playbooks quickly, then that's not helpful. Because same thing with like Cam Newton, for example. Not only is he significantly older, so he's lost a step, he's still Cam. But he needs to be able to learn that book, and I don't know if he can. So I think you got to stick with Purdy.
I'm crazy. You all know I'm crazy. So I'm going to throw 2 thoughts out there. Ryan Fitzpatrick just retired. He's still somewhat in game shape.
I mean, that Harvard mind, bro.
And Ben Roethlisberger is out there. I'm just throwing it out there. Ben Roethlisberger is sitting out there as a free agent.
He is? I thought he retired.
Retired. You could bring him back, dump the ball off a little bit. That's the limit of his arm.
The only one that I would go after would be Fitzpatrick, and that's because of him being a journeyman. He has seen everything, and he has shown that. They always joke about that Fitz magic. Because it comes in, and all of a sudden for like 4 to 5 games, he's just like, he looks like the greatest quarterback of all time. And then he comes back down to earth. You need him to last the end of the season in a playoff run. And I honestly think he could do it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, especially coming in this late in the season. He might stay around a little bit longer than you think. Oh, so kind of crazy to think about all the things that are available right now. Schefter says the 49ers are signing quarterback Josh Johnson off the Broncos practice squad. Johnson's been a member of 14 different teams, including my Commanders when we were called the Redskins. So I guess that's a journeyman, as you said, but I would be kicking the tires on Fitzpatrick. That's for damn sure.
I would.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll head into the rest of the games in our first block here right after this. All right, thank you so much. We got 50 of you joining us right now. Appreciate it madly. Please make sure you hit a like on this video. If you're watching later, hit a like and leave a comment down below as well. But most of all, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers so we can get it monetized, get to that 4,000 watch hours so we get it monetized. So we'd love your help in helping us do that for sure. And once again, Streamlabs are open. Send in some support. Haven't gotten anything from you guys. It's pinned in the chat. Would love to get some support from you all here as we go along. All right, let's move on to this game. As you mentioned here earlier, Winston, the Jets and the Vikings, talking about backup quarterbacks here. Mike White here stepping in once again for Zach here, taking care of business for these Jets. It wasn't enough in the end because Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings took care of business 27-22, but it was close. They got down to the 19-yard line, did the Jets there before they ran out of time. I am rooting so hard for this Jets team. I never thought that I would feel this way about a Jets team since the retirement of Ken O'Brien. That's how far I go back. And I am so shocked to see them doing this well and wanted them to pull out this victory so they could establish themselves even further as a team to be feared in the AFC as a kind of a wild card X factor type of team. What do you take away from this? More that the Vikings won yet another close game to take their record to 10-2, or that the Jets made a hell of a game that they almost pulled this thing out right at the end before the Vikings stopped them on the 19-yard line with time running out?
I just hope that the Jets and Jets fans are grossly aware of the fact that, and I know part of it is it's only his second game.
Yeah, right.
But Mike ain't there yet. Cool. You threw for 370 yards. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You also threw for 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. Yeah, you ran a short one in.
You did.
Fine, but
at the end, yeah.
That is what I mean about I don't care how elite your defense is. If your offense can't convert it to points, you're in trouble. The only reason the Jets were in this game is because Zerline decided to this year, not when he was playing for us, that this year he was going to make every fucking field goal that was put in front of him, kicking a 60. It took Zerline kicking a 60-yarder to have you stay in this game. And I understand that the Vikings are 10 or were 9-2 coming in. There's now 10-2, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's you to know that you held Kirk Cousins to 173 yards and a touchdown, that you held the entirety of the people running the ball to 128 yards. Like those are the types of numbers where you are blowing people out like that. But yet you can let Dalvin Cook Madison get in there. You let Justin Jefferson on only a 45-yard day, but you let him get a touchdown in there. These are small numbers for what the Vikings are capable of doing. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think the Jets, again, will also be fine.
Yeah.
But my faith in Mike White, that everybody was like, oh, my God. You know, when people start screaming about Mike White, it's the same thing that the Cleveland Browns did about that damn kicker. They're like, he is the Browns savior, week 1, kicking massive field goals. We are unstoppable. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. So, look. I have faith if you're throwing for 370 yards, 31 over 57. I have faith that Mike White will do just fine. But again, that's 2 interceptions and a quarterback rating of 23.1.
Yeah.
Let's really get some tape on him first before the jury is out on how good this kid will be. That defense will keep him in the mix. But can the offense keep up is the real question.
They had a rough time in the first half. You're right about that one. They were down 20-3 in that second quarter. And then the defense really stepped up in the second half. They made some adjustments at halftime, clearly. And the Jets found their way back into this game with Mike White. I mean, he threw a 31-yard pass to Corey Davis on a 4th and 10 in the fourth quarter to keep that drive alive. Threw a 60-yard pass to Garrett Wilson, which was gorgeous. So yes, again, remember, as you said, this is his second game coming into this situation, starting for this team. It was against one of the premier teams right now in the NFL, and he got them all the way down to the 19 with the possibility of winning this game. Didn't get the job done, but it's a good learning experience. If they're going to stay with Mike White through the rest of the season, this is a great learning experience for the kid. The next time it's tight, we're going to see what they do. But listen, the Vikings are living by the sword right now. This is their 9th one-score game of the season, and they've won all of them. Odds say, I remember Bill Barnwell. I used to read Bill Barnwell all the time. When it's one-score games and you're constantly winning them, eventually the law of averages is going to find you at a certain moment. So I wonder when it's going to come and bite these Vikings in the ass, or are these Vikings just that mentally tough this year?
I mean, they are, but I trust Kirk Cousins about as well as anybody trusts him to throw a consistent deep ball. He's got the arm strength, but goddamn that accuracy. He overthrows motherfuckers so much. And Justin Jefferson has wheels and reach, and even he can't catch all that shit, man. So but to that point, I see Haskell over here getting upset, talking about what did he do about not getting Justin Fields. Let's be real for a second. You had the number 2 pick of the draft. Trevor Lawrence is gone, and you took Zach Wilson. Yeah. So that's not how many people could have had him. No. You genuinely, with the 2nd pick of the draft, could have had Justin Fields.
Yeah, take that punch. You got to take that on the chin, man. Yeah.
And you took the MILF hunter that is known as Zach Wilson, bro. So, or it was the other way around. His friend was banging his mom. He's out here banging friends, ex-girlfriends. So I just look. That's it, and that's all. Choices were made.
Choices were made.
You know.
All right, let's move on to our next game. And shout out to the Vikings going 10-2. Again, those one-score games, the fact that you're winning them speaks volumes about your toughness, about your mental toughness in those situations and getting the job done. I just agree with you. I just don't know if Kirk Cousins is the guy you want in a tight game against some of these defenses once we get to the playoffs. We shall see for sure. Let's move on to another game.
I was going to say, like you said, just off of that's going to be the difference maker and watch in the playoffs. All these super elite defenses, it will come down to, unless they do the things that the Niners are doing, where they are literally have shut people out in the second half with 0 points scored. Unless they're doing some, with the exception of the Dolphins, which got 1 touchdown. Unless defenses are doing that, if your quarterback cannot, you need a quarterback to bring you back, and I don't trust Kirk Cousins to do that.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, let's move on to our next game here, and let's get into this thing. The Washington Commanders, the New York Giants, playing to a 2020 tie. Look, all year I have hesitated putting my Commanders in the top block of the show, but this was a premier matchup between two teams fighting for a wild card in the NFC. This tie hurt Washington, who moved down now to 9th, so out of the playoffs, and the Giants got there at 7th with this tie. Now, the Giants play the Eagles next week, and then they play us again because we're on a bye this coming up this week. So in Washington. So if this could be a positive for Washington in the end, if we end up winning in a couple of weeks and the Giants lose this game against Philadelphia. So what do you take away from this? We went into New York, the vaunted New York Giants that everyone was saying was so great, and we played them to a tie on their own home field. Is this a loss for either team? What do you take out of this tie?
I take out of it that it's a win for Dallas, bitch. Both of y'all were nipping at our heels that you dumbasses decided a good idea was to tie. What the fuck?
No, so mad.
You weren't gonna catch Philly, but you maybe could have caught us, and y'all tied. Y'all couldn't have even worked it out and be like, all right, look, this year we're gonna give it to you, and we'll take it next year. None of that shit. Y'all tied, bro.
Tied. I was so mad. I was watching this game because, of course, it went into overtime. So NFL Red Zone was watching the whole thing. And we had multiple chances. We had the ball like 2 or 3 times in overtime, and we drove a little bit. But some of the play calling was absolutely confounding against this Giants defense that had shown a propensity to give up plays to Tyler Heineke and some of the passes to McLaurin. But once again, these are the limits of Tyler. I think you're not always going to get the greatest game from Tyler Heineke. He's still learning how to be an NFL level quarterback. And these are these moments you've got to go and get that victory, man. You've got to go and get it. And I was scared our defense was going to give up a big run to Saquon or give up a big throw to Daniel Jones, but they stepped up. They were all up in that backfield of Daniel Jones and Saquon. Just wasn't enough in the end. And I just wonder what you take away from this game for the Commanders, because I want them to go and get into these playoffs. And I think we are actually a damn good team, and the defense is a big reason why. But we got to be able to put enough points on the board to get these victories again, especially when our division record isn't that great, Winston. And wild cards might come down to division records, and this could look bad on us, man, with the way we're going right now.
It's funny because I'm not scared of Daniel Jones's arm. He has the occasional bomb because Slayton that's his biggest threat, is that he can turn on the wheels and do an out route pretty well. Can do a streak pretty well. But it's because Daniel Jones had more rushing yards than Barkley. He had 71 yards off of 12 carries. Like, bro, what the hell? Like, and I get why they call him White Vic, but they shouldn't, in the sense that he ain't putting up Vic numbers. But I understand. Like, I'm not playing Madden this year and like the way that you used to play with Vic, and it became a cheat code because homie was so fast. You could no, and then you would just run it. Like, I'm not doing that with Daniel Jones in Madden. All right, so I ain't worried about that. I think what it is I think that both of these teams are better than a majority of the teams in the NFC, as they've proven, because this division, for some reason, got a shot in the ass, and this entire division has decided we're good this year. But I cannot believe you guys tied. One of you couldn't figure it out. Not one of you. Jesus.
We had every right to win this game, man. Robinson had almost 100 yards. By the way, I think Robinson and our defense are the two biggest reasons we've had a turnaround this season. Yeah, Tyler's played fine. He's played good most of the time, but it's really been Brian Robinson Jr. and this defense that has really come to bear. And by the way, we still haven't got our big boy back yet, Chase Young. So once he comes back in the mix, I wonder how that's going to figure into the game for sure. Terry McLaurin had 105 yards here. Jahan Dotson had a fantastic run for a touchdown there where we absolutely juked two Giants defenders and left them sitting there with broken ankles. So to me, I thought we were the better team. We just couldn't get the result we needed with some of those drives as we got close to get the field goal to win in overtime. We couldn't get past that 35-yard line to make it somewhat makeable. It's so frustrating.
I'm watching that stop in OT where you hit him, but you guys got tackled short of that. Of that first. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Man. It is what it is. I'm curious because I'm seeing two. I didn't watch y'all's game. Obviously, I see two missed field goals. Were both of those missed in OT?
No, or in the regular time. Yeah,
in regular time. Okay.
All right.
But it's funny how even that potentially decides the game. Both of those kicks, bro. So, you know,
and both Heineke and Jones fumbled the ball and lost it on separate occasions. So it's like they kind of tied. Everything was a tie, Winston.
Everything was a goddamn tie.
But if Haskell's right, we just got flexed to Sunday Night Football for Week 15. So I will absolutely be watching that game. That's going to be a lot of fun. Might even do a watch along here on the Game Time Sports channel because I don't get to watch the Washington games live, and it rarely show them as the national games here, so could be kind of fun to see that for sure. All right, let's move on to our last game here in the opening block, and that is Geno Smith, your guy Geno Smith here, leading the Seahawks past the Los Angeles Rams. This was actually a lot tighter than people had anticipated. 27-23 was a great pass he threw there to DK Metcalf to get the touchdown to finally put them ahead. By the way, John Wolford is the quarterback for the Rams, ladies and gentlemen, not Jared Goff right now with Goff with the injuries that he's suffering here. Geno had 367 yards, Winston, 3 touchdowns, did have 1 interception. They got no running game. Kenneth Walker, yes, yet again, coming up, coming up terrible yet another game. But Tyler Lockett, 128 yards, DK Metcalf, 127 yards. So do you think this puts the Seahawks back back in play, back in motion, back in consideration for getting into these playoffs and doing something once they get there?
I think that they're still there, but I know it's a division rival. I don't think it should have been that close, especially because Wolford is not good and he got hurt at one point. I saw chunks of this game. You know, that was for the taking. Right. I feel like for Seattle, even against a rival, because the Rams are falling apart at the seams, like everything.
Yeah.
It's that really sad thing where like, you know, your car, or as you get older, your body, it's like first it's one finger that you jam, but then you're overusing the other finger, which makes your whole wrist hurt, which then all of a sudden your entire left arm is out of whack because you're using that more often and you're not used to that. Then all of a sudden you tweak your back and now your neck hurt. Like that's what's happening to the Rams. It's just slowly everything is interconnected and falling apart.
Yeah.
So I needed the Seattle Seahawks to show a little more gusto because the Niners are running away with it.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, they are once again, this happened to Seattle, I want to say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They have lost every fucking runner on the team.
Yeah, they have, man.
Bro, there was a point where DJ Dallas fucked up his foot and had to go out. They brought in the third string running back, Antonio Jones Jr. He gets hit so hard that they look like he might be in the concussion protocol. So they send limp DJ Dallas back in there for the next play, even though he can't really move because they don't have anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad. This is bad. I don't know how bad Kenneth Walker's injury is. I don't know how bad DJ Dallas has ended up being. It looks like Tony finished the game, so there's no concussion.
Yeah.
But, like, remember when they had to unretire Marshawn Lynch? Like, they might have to figure something the fuck out, man.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody sitting out there. Yeah, thanks, guys. I apologize. It was Matt Stafford, of course, is the quarterback for the Rams. Sorry about that. Yeah, Goff is for the Lions now because of that trade. Apologies. But, yes, I like this win for the Seahawks, especially because this is going to be very interesting. They play the 49ers in 2 weeks. They're one game behind the 49ers. The 49ers play the Buccaneers next week. The Seahawks play the Panthers. I'm going to go ahead and chalk that W up for the Seahawks there next week. And it could be a tougher game than the 49ers think against this Tampa Bay defense and Tom Brady. So going to be very interesting. And even Mr. Irrelevant himself, Brock Purdy, said it's going to be really cool to play Tom Brady. He said he's been playing in the NFL longer than I've been alive. He actually said that in a quote. If you want to give him some bulletin board material to Tom Brady, that's what you say. So I got a sneaking suspicion that they're going to beat these 49ers. Idiot. And now it's going to be for the division lead when they meet in 2 weeks. And it's Thursday Night Football.
Bro, you said the quiet part out loud. You know who's supposed to say that? The analyst, not you. Exactly. Oh, God, don't give Tom Brady a reason to be mad. Oh, this dude is dumb.
Don't play the age joke, son. Don't do it.
You better hope Nick Bosa can get to him because otherwise that's your ass, Mr. Postman. But yeah, no, I'm worried about the Seahawks, man. They had a really solid year this year. Geno is still balling out of control. What a great first fourth quarter comeback win since 2012, I believe they said.
Yep.
So good for him. It's been a decade. Was it 2012? Might have been 2014. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. So good for them. But to be this close against even a division rival that's this bad though, and no starting quarterback and no superstar and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, it's a rough situation for the Seahawks as well. After they play the Panthers and play the 49ers, they're going to be at Kansas City against the Chiefs. Then they're playing the Jets at home. And then they play these Rams again at home, but the Rams, pretty frisky here, 27-23. They weren't out of it. So who knows what the future holds for these Seahawks, but they've got a tough road to get there to get into the playoffs. And they right now are in the 7th seed because my Commanders tied and they won, the Seahawks did. They have the 7th seed right now. So we shall see. Crazy part of this whole thing could be the 49ers possibly crashing out of the playoffs and the Seahawks winning the division, and that being the only way they qualify for the playoffs. So who knows? I mean, either the Commanders, the Seahawks, or the 49ers or the Giants, those are the 4 teams fighting right now, and one of them is not going to make the playoffs. So it's going to be crazy to see when it all happens, and it'll probably fucking be the Commanders. God damn it. Anyway, all right, let's see. No Streamlabs have come through. Would love some support from you guys. We got 47 of you watching right now. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember to hit a like on this video. Leave a comment later if you're watching later, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to jump into the rest of the NFL right after this. All right, Winston, bunch of games here in the rest of the NFL for sure that we got to get into real quick. Let's see what you want to talk about. Deshaun Watson came back, was pretty rusty, but led the Browns to a victory over his former team here, the Houston Texans, 27-14. And as Winston poured out earlier that knocked out the Texans from any playoff considerations here. The Cowboys scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. What the fuck? And rounded the Colts 54-19. Josh Allen threw for 2 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football to lead the Bills to a pretty convincing 24-10 victory over the Patriots, bringing up some conversations about how good Bill Belichick actually is as a coach without Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers rallied in the fourth quarter to beat the Bears 28-19, with Rodgers giving them a little bit of a salute when they scored that last touchdown. Huntley rallied, stepping in here for Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, led them past the Broncos here 10-9. Russell Wilson could not get it done with a final drive against the Ravens there. The Hayward brothers led the Steelers to a 19-16 victory over the Falcons. Hey, the Steelers slowly but surely putting something together here. May not be enough to get in the playoffs, but certainly looking good. Jared Goff playing for the Detroit Lions, 340 yards and 2 touchdowns to help the Lions destroy the Jaguars 40-14. It might be too late, but these Lions are starting to look like a goddamn good team in the NFC. And then Derek Carr and Devontae Adams connected as they rallied the Raiders past the Chargers 27-20. Speaking of a team that's coming on at the end, the Las Vegas Raiders as well. So, Winston, which of these games do you want to talk about, or what do you want to talk about from these games?
I'm offended that you put the Cowboys in the best of the rest, bro. This ain't even
Colts, bro. It was the Colts.
But let's be real about this.
Yes.
And it was talked about at the start of the game. Remember, you said it. 33 points in the fourth. This was a nail biter until the fourth quarter because the Colts defense is fucking legit. And I think something needs to be said because I wish we had talked about this in the first.
Sure.
Remember, the Eagles barely escaped the Colts with a 19-17 victory.
That's
it took Jalen a last-minute 5-yard rush into the end zone to get them past the Colts. Okay. And we, again, were also holding on we were mainly in control the whole time because they would score and be like, damn. But then we would score right back. So we're like, all right, we're good. But, like, there's a lot here. There was the fact that Dak threw a few ugly-ass balls. One that was an interception, but 2 that should have been, but they lucky they hit the ground.
Yeah.
But the offense overall, CeeDee Lamb is a motherfucking monster out here in these streets making grown men look silly the way he's like, oh, nigga, I'm over here. Oh, like, I just oh, it was so beautiful to watch, let alone they had the Jack in the Box of Feed Me with Zeke. All of that was great. I cannot believe you did this to me. I'm so mad at you. The rest of this stuff, I think the only thing that's super interesting here, a tale of 2 quarterbacks. You got Jackson, who's out. Hopefully it's not for super long. I also would not be surprised if he goes, you know what? Fuck this team, and he just shuts it down. Be like, oh no, coach, I can't go. That shit hurt. And then he just shuts it down until he gets paid. You never know. I mean, one way or the other, you're on the precipice of the playoffs, but let's see if he has to sit out 1 or 2 games, and if they can't hold it, if he just goes, nope, I'm done. I would be very curious to see what happens off of that. And the other one is, okay, fuck Deshaun Watson. Oof, I kind of have a funny joke, but it's a little dark. It'll probably get me canceled, so I don't know if I can actually say it.
Yeah. We can talk about it. I want to talk about that, but I want to address your concerns about the Cowboys not being in the first block of these conversations.
Please, I'm gonna text. I'm gonna private chat you what I wanted to say.
Okay,
and fair. You can decide. But go ahead. Tell me about the.
I mean, the Colts are 4-8-1. I don't care if they're playing teams tight. They're not one of the better teams in the NFL. I wonder if this victory is a real wake-up call to the organization about Jeff Saturday as a coach. Honestly, I wonder if this is... Yes.
I'm not going to lie. You know how mad I like Jeff Saturday, but you know how mad I was about that? Now that is the straight successful white man I feel sorry for. He's like, he's not Jimmy G pretty.
No.
But like, he's like easy on the eyes. He's a good-looking dude, right?
Yeah, sure.
They cut over to this man. This grown man looked like he was about to cry, being like, oh my God. Like, the look on his face, honestly... But by that ass whooping in the fourth quarter, was the look of somebody who was hardcore feeling imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
This time it actually might be accurate.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that he couldn't be a good head coach at some point, but I think it was kind of inappropriate for him to be thrust into this situation right now. And I don't care that the announcers were talking about, well, he has been a liaison for the Colts and he has been watching behind the coaching staff and all that because they wanted to get him involved with coaching at some point.
Yeah.
But to immediately throw him to head coach, this is why you don't do that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was thinking about when I was watching the game as it got worse and worse, was like, this is a wake-up call, man. Like, you can't talk all your mess, but that kind of destruction, that's a team giving up. That's a team giving up on its coach, giving up on the game. And when you're a well-coached team, you don't do that. And so I think there's something to be said about that. That's what I wanted to say about that. So
it also, Matt Ryan might need to retire.
Matt Ryan is done. Okay,
he is need finished. To retire. 3 interceptions, bro, and you might gotta go, bro.
Yeah, they were ugly. You gotta go. You can't play this kid. I don't think Erlinger is any better, but Ryan's got to go, man. It's tough. It's like watching the end of Roethlisberger. When you watch the end, you know the end, and it's over. It's over for Ryan. He's got to get the hell out of the NFL. I want to talk about the Deshaun Watson thing for a number of reasons. One,
did you see what I like that?
Oh,
that's I didn't know if that was going to get me canceled.
Oof, no, I don't think you should say that.
It's fine. It's fine.
I will say this, though. I'm really frustrated about the coverage of it. First of all, they threw it in the opening block of games to kind of cover it up. This is what the NFL does. He was playing his former team. This would normally be like talked about, like AJ Brown was going to play Tennessee. That was huge. Normally, this guy coming off suspension, but they tried their best to talk around it. Only Jay Glazer brought it up in the Fox pregame, but then he was praising the coach for keeping it all about football, focusing on football. This propensity to play two sides of the fence, which is we care about women, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And then on the other side, when 26 women accuse this man of being appropriate with them, and he takes back his apology after he issues an apology. And then Adam Schefter drops a 4 a.m. tweet about progress that Deshaun Watson is going through, but not listing what the progress is, what the program is, what the end goal of the program is. All of this is nonsense. Rusty Hardin, the attorney in Houston, he rented out a whole suite and had all the had like 10 or 12 of the women there who had accused Watson in essence to say, we're not going anywhere.
I was like, bitch, who accused me of what? Keep my name out your motherfucking mouth. Like, don't do
Jameis Winston. I was thinking Jameis Winston.
fair.
But who's had his own problems. But the NFL didn't, the Fox coverage did not cover that. You know what they covered to? You know what they shot? They shot Watson's family in the suite supporting him. So they chose sides. You are choosing sides when you do that. And that really pissed me off here in the coverage of this game, coverage of Watson coming up. Don't tell me with one side of your mouth that you care about women, and then when a quarterback comes back to play for you, you don't let the coverage cover the unsavory shit that he's done with 26 of these women. It's not right. It's too frustrating as a sports fan who loves this game to see them do it this way, man.
No, I agree with you. The thing with the NFL, let's be 100% honest, it has never been about doing the right thing. It's just always been about the bottom line. Because if it was about doing the right thing, every time someone abused their girlfriends, had murder charges, any of that, they wouldn't be back in the league. There wouldn't be like the fact that Deshaun Watson almost got away with only getting 4 games because the judge that was arbitrating was like, y'all set the precedent. Yeah. I have to go based off of the rules that you said. So I would give him a year, if not longer.
Oh, yeah.
But because of you, I have to set it at 4. And then they had to be like, well, no. And that's because they knew the shitstorm if he got away with 4 games on that. So that's the thing. Let's be real. They haven't. They have never cared. It is always a bot. You do just enough. It's the phrase is you pay the cost to do business.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then the only other thing I will say, honestly, I thought the women going to the game like in a suite was a little weird to me.
Okay. It was probably to keep them away from fans yelling at them and screaming at them, possibly to keep them safe, maybe.
Okay.
That's what I would think.
I could see that. You were in Houston though, right?
Yes.
So I can see that for sure, but the whole thing just felt weird.
Yeah.
Across the board, but it wasn't Watson that won that game. He was terrible.
No, he was horrible.
It was that defense, because the Texans offense is nothing.
Yeah.
So that defense had all sorts of scores, man.
Yeah. I mean, he was horrible overall in the game with his what was he, 131 yards, 12 of 22 for 131 yards, 1 interception. Quarterback rating of 53.4. That's horrific. Chubb got 80 yards, but no one else got above 44 yards receiving for the team. Yeah.
Jermaine, bro, no, they did not really go after his money, because you want to know why?
What? No, they didn't.
The Browns paid him what, $250 million, and
guaranteed.
They structured his guaranteed, and they structured his contract so that, knowing he was going to potentially be gone for a majority of a year, that they were like, okay, it's only like $1 million. Like it was maybe like 7 this year, something like that.
He's making $1 million this year. That's it. They took 11 games against the 1 million. So they took 11 games of pay from Deshaun Watson, and he was only making $1 million. So it's only hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's it. For a guy that's got 250, or I think it's 300 something million coming to him guaranteed. They purposely structured the contract so he'd only lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's it. He probably pisses away $100,000 in the morning.
Dude, here it is. Here it is. So 230 fully guaranteed over 5 years.
230.
They had a $44.9 million signing bonus, which is how they were able to pay him. But then his salary for 2022 is $1,000,035. They did that on purpose. They set it as the minimum that a player can receive with that type of service and time. So that he would not. It literally only cost him. The story's right here at ESPN. It cost him $5.69 million. That is nothing in a $230 million contract. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I can listen to Bomani Jones break it down all he wants. They let him play in the NFL after only 11 games, and they only took a certain amount that was way less than he's going to get paid on that guaranteed contract. So it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous how he got away with abusing these women. He got away with all this nonsense, and the NFL brought him back against his former team. They allowed him to come back against his former team. There's such a hubris in that I think is absolutely ridiculous. So at the end of the day, it's horrible thing for sure. And I wish more was done about that for sure.
But to that point, Jermaine, if you let me know a link to, I love Bomani Jones.
I love Bomani Jones too.
If you have a link to it and what he had to say about it, I would love to hear it. But I
like Bomani when he's been on with what's his face on that show they used to have together on Miami, coming out of Miami. Oh, I can't remember his name now. He broke away from ESPN. He's got his own show now. The Cuban guy, Dan Levitard. Him and Levitard. Bomani showing up on that show with Levitard and his dad. Always a great time. I respect Bomani. He breaks it down fantastic. But at the end of the day, Deshaun's going to make a crap ton of money. And these women, are they going to see any of it? And he still maintains his innocence. That's an issue. So whatever progress is supposed to be being made, none of us are seeing it. And we as fans of the NFL, we do have a right to see what the progress is. If you're going to let him be in front of our eyes and play the game, we have a right to know what the progress is in this whole situation. So anyway, absolutely, Bruce. Jerry Jones and Brett Favre need this type of energy. Yes.
I didn't even see if you put it in there. That would have been the only other than obviously some World Cup stuff. That would have been the only other story I would want to talk about in sports right now. Is LeBron. I thought LeBron's statements were super spot on.
Yeah,
I think
give a little background for people who may not know.
Sure. So for those that don't know, this past week, LeBron was like, I just want to say something to the media because he was in an interview. He was like, I find it really interesting. They all asked me a bajillion questions about Kyrie and what he was saying, but you haven't once asked me about the Jerry Jones photo. And they try to interrupt me. He goes, no, let me finish. My whole point about this is I'm not saying I agree with Kyrie, but like he has spoken on how things that happen to black folk, that happen to him and his people, don't seem to register, but you'll come at us about a million different things. And considering that LeBron has made, and like I've had people push back and be like, well, it's a completely different sport and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but LeBron has been very vocal about how much of a Cowboys fan he has been over his years. It's changed recently, but he has been very vocal about how big of a Cowboys fan he is. There were talks about whether or not at some point should he consider coming in as a tight end, could he do it, etc. But also because of the stance he takes as an activist, and because this has something to do with a black athlete and seeing a white owner of a major sport, that is relevant, period. You know what I'm saying? And so I am not defending Kyrie at all. I am not defending Kanye West at all.
But for equality,
there is a level of keeping the same energy when someone does something shitty that we collectively decide to call them out about it, and not just let it go under the rug. Like this Brett Favre not really being in the news. He should be in the news every single fucking day about how long it takes before this money gets paid back and how long it takes before he goes to jail.
Especially now, because he is claiming innocence and he's trying to get the case thrown out. He is trying to get the case thrown out and say that it's all wrong. His lawyers have been front page trying to say that it's all wrong. He's been misunderstood. He never took the money. It's all bullshit. And I agree with you. And with Jerry Jones, I mean, he once again, he tried to gaslight everybody. Like, hey, I'm the only one talking about it. I'm out here talking about it. And I was just a curious spectator. Get the fuck out of here, man. We know what was going on. It's like Bill Clinton. I inhaled. I smoked, but I didn't inhale. It's ridiculous. But also the BLM stuff, Winston. I mean, him saying that he wasn't going to let people. That's why when LeBron stopped being a fan of the Cowboys, because Jerry Jones said he was going to fire any player that kneeled during the anthem. That's him playing to his Texas boys down there, and it's bullshit. He should be called out on it as a pattern. This is a pattern.
But so couple things. One, I see someone saying that Favre isn't relevant in the media. I call bullshit. He is one of the most decorated quarterbacks of all time. He has been known for doing shady fucking things, a lot of them being sexual harassment stuff, obviously. But on top of the fact that it should be front page news every day that another city, like the people tried to come for Jackson, Mississippi, because it was like, you let your water go out? Who's taking? But because you had a whole state stacking against you to prevent things. So he should be in the news, and it should be dragged the same way you saw Aaron Hernandez, the same way you saw OJ. I understand those are murder, but there is something to be said about stealing millions of dollars that could be used for poor folk to survive. Who knows what type of folk actually have gotten sick or hurt because of that. But I digress. The other thing I was going to say about Jerry that upset me personally, and you started to touch on it already, I just needed Jerry to take accountability.
That's
it.
If
Jerry had been like, look, I grew up where I grew up. But the way that the world was, I maybe wasn't violent out there, but I was out there. And it's not a good look. I feel shitty about who I was and what society was at that time. However, looking at who I have become and the folks that I've learned so much, I know that we can do better. But that's the point. Bottom line only. There's a reason he didn't do that. He did the bare minimum because there's plenty of, let's just call it what it is, plenty of MAGA folk that love Jerry Jones and the Cowboys as much money as he donated to 100%. Abbott and the right. And I'm not going to get super political about it, but he's only going to do the bare minimum to not affect his bottom line. And that's where I got offended. And that's why I supported LeBron so goddamn much when he said what he said, because it does not absolve any of the black athletes or celebrities that have done fuck shit. They deserve to be called out for supporting Nazis or any of that shit. Fuck you. But at the same time, for these old rich white men to continue to get passes, for people to not genuinely give a shit about when they're doing fucked up shit is not okay. That's all I'm saying.
Agree. 100% agree with you, man. 100% agree. We'll see what happens. going forward with all these situations for sure. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into some World Cup talk, and then we'll wrap up the show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. 50 of you hanging out with us right now. We'll be right back right after this. All right, Winston, the United States dream and the World Cup is over for 2022. Sadly, they went out 3-1 to a better Holland team, I would argue. Much more experienced Holland team. Good mixture of young and older players in their prime here. Tough loss, 3-1. Certainly, the United States had their chances. Christian Pulisic in the 9th minute, one-on-one with that goalkeeper, could have really changed the game around by getting an early goal, putting the Dutch on their heels there, possibly for the rest of the game. But in the end, the Netherlands did what they needed to do, took care of business, got 3 goals. Haji Wright had a nice goal for the United States out of nowhere, and they just didn't have enough ingenuity there in the final third to get the job done, to get some goals, to put the pressure on the Netherlands, and maybe sneak out a victory or send this thing to penalty kicks. Certainly at 2-1, it looked like the United States had found themselves a little. Gio Reyna coming in, it looked like there was a little more life to them, but in the end, that third goal kind of extinguished any of it. So what do you take away overall from the United States game here against the Netherlands, but also overall in the journey here? And what do you anticipate will be happening in 2026 when we host the World Cup with Mexico and Canada?
I genuinely hope, that this was the experience of this very young team. I believe they were the second youngest team in the World Cup.
Second youngest team behind Ghana was the youngest. Yeah.
So that's important experience. You got out of the group stage to get to the knockout round, which is great. Yep. It was just gonna be hard to beat the Netherlands, dude. They have little soccer player speed, but they are literally the largest people on the planet by capita. Their average height, I believe, of the Dutch is like 6'3".
Yeah.
Some stupid shit like that. That's insane. Okay. That goalie was making stops that no other goalie is making because he's fucking Mr. Fantastic out there talking about it is what it is. I think the only thing that I'm really upset about is that I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to go watch this game and go to a bar for us to get mollywopped like that. And there were 2 dudes that were bold as fuck to be Netherlands fans screaming every time they scored. And you're like, bro, you were in a room full of tired, drunk because the cook called out, so all they had is alcohol, American fans, and you think this is a good time to scream, go! I was like, you are lucky that we ain't in an actual rough part of town. This is essentially like the Fairfax district / West Hollywood. Ain't nobody really gonna swing on you, but that is bold, sir.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you for sure. And this is why I stopped going to public places to watch these games, because of that situation for sure. I remember the last time we went out, I was at that BW3 by the old Collider places there in Burbank. I was there for the entire Belgium game, watched it from beginning to end. It was crazy to be in there, but every time the Belgian team they scored or they celebrated, I was going crazy for sure in that situation. But I get it. But yeah, to me, I take it away from this. This is a young team, but I think there are some real questions that need to be asked, which is Pulisic, for all his goal against Iran, terrible corner kicks, terrible free kicks, some not really good crosses, and he doesn't inspire the team to fight. There needs to be someone who's coming into this U.S. state team that has the guts and the balls and the strength to fight, to inspire the team not to quit. We don't have that yet. Pulisic he's a quiet leader. We need a stronger, more vocal leader to wake some of these guys up. I think Tyler Adams is going to be great. Weston McKennie needs to get better. Some of these younger guys need to get experience in Europe, need to get front-line experience in Europe so they're not overwhelmed by playing these better players, or at the time better players, when the next World Cup comes around. Also, we need a better strength and conditioning situation. We need these guys to put some weight on their bodies, some muscle on their bodies, because these, as you said, the Netherlands, other teams as well, the African teams, there are some strong guys who are playing on those other teams. You got to be able to fight for that ball and get that ball.
It's like you said, though, they're kids. The only thing that makes things rough about the World Cup is just like the Olympics is every 4 years.
Hey, so Mbappe is 23 years old, man.
I get that, but look at for example, he never really got yoked ever, but he is stronger. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant came in as a fucking green bean and he was still cooking, but people were like, if he could put a little muscle on, he could be like really Like, and he put on as much as he was willing to do so, and he does cook all
without
the time.
Losing.
But if he had like figured out how to keep his all the stuff he does, the dribbling, the shooting, all that, but then put on a little closer to a LeBron weight, holy fuck, Durant would have been the face of the generation and not LeBron.
I agree.
But that's just, you know what I'm saying? I just maybe it was something that would have conflicted with his style. I don't know. But these kids are young. Like you said, second youngest team in the World Cup. Give them time to go through puberty, because we know that they started soccer pretty goddamn young, where you get professional contracts. And then let's see them back here when they're playing in the States. Which, how does that work? If the World Cup is here in 4 years, is it 4 years or 3?
4.
Okay. If it's here in 4 years, does it then go to a whole bunch of different cities?
Yes, it'll be in different cities in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. We're sharing the World Cup. The last time in 94, it was all America based. So everything was all over from the stadiums in America. We played a bunch of NFL teams, NFL stadiums in 94. Now, since MLS has so many soccer specific stadiums, I think it'll be real interesting to see which ones qualify. I'm sure Portland, I'm sure Seattle, I'm sure the new LAFC arena there in Los Angeles.
I bet you
ones that will be in conversation.
Fuck that old rich white man, but I bet you Jerry Jones makes sure they come down to Cowboy Stadium to play a goddamn game.
100%.
Ain't no way in hell that they don't. Because I'm curious if they're going to set it up where it's like a group plays in this city. Where it's just like it's like all of Group A is Los Angeles, all of Group B is Dallas, all of Group C is in Toronto. Like, I'm very curious how they're going to do that, but it seems like it's fun. I know you got to go soon, so we probably should get to the.
Well, we'll see what happens. Look, it was a joy for everybody who joined me to watch these watch-alongs. It was a blast. I got 19,000 views off the one against England, so I was very happy to do that as a kind of fun thing. Will be more watch-alongs. Certainly the England-Argentina game, I'm going to do a watch-along. So there'll be watch-alongs coming up as soon as this thing gets nestled in, and I'm going to have some fun with it. Yeah, what's up?
Oh, I just remembered what my real heartbreaker of the knockout stage.
Go ahead,
bro. Is Japan today.
Yeah.
That shootout, bro. Like,
Tough
you held it to 1-1 against Croatia, and just that made me sad, honestly.
Penalty kicks are ruthless, man. Penalty kicks are ruthless, dude. So it's a shame, but I will be doing more watch-alongs. I'll definitely let you guys know, and I'll be doing them on this channel. Maybe the bigger ones will be on Strong Style. Oh, I'm sorry, on on Outlaw Nation and this channel, but they'll be there. They'll be happening for you all to enjoy for sure. When it's another fun show, please let them know where they can find you, my man.
You can find me everywhere at the Swaggy Blurred. Got a lot of fun stuff. We're going to be coming for you very, very soon. I shot some more sketches in the last week or so, which has been great. Been on TikTok doing the sports victims unit. I had my previously on since I missed a week. So you got to see some old week 11 flashback shit. I still got to do 12, but 13 will be fun because we obviously just talked about a lot of fun stories. I honestly, I'm probably going to do week 13 about the Giants and Commanders because it felt like an old man fight. It essentially felt like an old man fight. So
please, you have license to do it, please.
Which, Rocha, if you have some spare Commander stuff, man, send me some shit.
Dude, I only have one thing. I've told you that.
Oh. Right, it's Ellis. Ellis is the one.
Yeah, Ellis is all kinds of shit that he wastes money on.
I'll hit up Ellis, but either way, find me in all those. Capes and Cows over in the Christian Harloff channel every Friday, going in about the superhero news and movies, and we work with Boom Studios too, which is pretty cool. And then obviously here, come back every Monday.
There you go. Yep. And as for me, you can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the Outlaw Nation channel, subscribe to the Strong Style channel. That's what we got going on. My other podcast, the Top 10, the Cinephiles, the Geek Buddies, the Hot Mic is its own separate podcast feed for those who are going to enjoy me and Jeff Snyder going at each other about a number of topics. But more than anything, because we're on Game Time right now, please subscribe to the channel down below. Get us to that 1,000 subscribers mark. Share this on your social media with your sports loving friends. Maybe they'll come take a chance and hang out with us. We'd really appreciate it. And watch everything we got on here on the channel so we can get to that 1,000 or 4,000 watch hours as soon as possible. I appreciate that, y'all, very much. As for tonight, I'm going to see Babylon tonight, so look for my out-of-theater reaction to Babylon later on tonight. And tomorrow, Avatar: The Way of the Water.
Check
so
mine too.
Watching that tomorrow. You got that?
I will have my instant reaction for that as well. So over on my YouTube channel, over on TikTok, be sure to come and watch my response to Avatar.
There you go. All right, y'all. Thanks so much. Love you guys. We'll take care of yourselves. Be well. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of Game Time. Peace.